Alright, and we are back with Game 3 of RmR taking on Ride My Rocket, and that means that Ride My Rocket's still well alive in this Gold Division Cycle 6 Grand Finals Series. This game was once again remade, just like Game 1, clearly, as the band's making no sense, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that that's what was happening. You see some references to Ping in the chat as well, so that's probably what that reference was, so yay. And we're moving right here into Game 3. Dawn's still up 2-1, which means that, just like last game, they have a chance to clinch the series right here if they can come out with a victory. But if RmR can win Game 3 like they won Game 2, or not like they won Game 2, all they got to do is win it, doesn't matter how, then it's going to be a decisive fourth and final game, with whoever can emerge victorious in that one taking the entire thing. And I'm sure RmR thinking after last game that they can definitely beat this Dawn team, because, hey, they just did. If you do something, I'm certainly of the opinion that it proves that you can do it. Anyway, we have drafts here for both sides, as, of course, it was the remade game, which means can't do too much draft analysis in terms of pick order, but we can certainly look at the heroes. It's going to be Labyrinth playing that Pharaoh, presumably middle, as he is their mid player. In the bot lane, Probusk on the Dark Lady. That's more of a Probusk-oriented hero, more so than Chipper, definitely. Heavy farm hero. Hard carry, and my expectation is he'll do quite well with it. Cthulhuphant going to be on Time to Die's side, so that's that Suicide Elephant. This is patch 2.6, which means this is pre-Cthulhuphant nerfs, so he's still pretty damn broken. Ophelia going to be in Iceland Gogo's hands, and Yugobek going to be picking up the Rhapsody, so you look at this Dawn draft, and they've more or less got the dream team right here. Labyrinth, a pretty solid Pharaoh player. That's perhaps the only player-hero combination that doesn't make a ton of sense, but I don't... By that, I basically mean he's a better Kraken player than Pharaoh. Not that he's a bad Pharaoh player, just that it's not necessarily his favorite hero. But I think TDL right up there on the high end of the list for Probusk. Iceland Gogo is most known for playing Ophelia. Yugobek plays a lot of Rhapsody, and Cthulhuphant is just cancer in general. So Time Die as a Suicide hero or a Suicide player probably likes that Cthulhuphant quite a lot because it often does a lot of ridiculous things in games. So I'm really liking this Dawn draft here. There is a fair bit of synergy as well. Rhapsody and Ophelia, with the dance floor helping out the Ophelia minions, will assist them in their push. The initiation potential is quite good as well. And Cthulhuphant and Dark Lady can both charge through the walls. So Pharaoh Mummy walls won't necessarily be a problem here. You look at the amount of CC on the Legion side, it's pretty substantial. So Dark Lady will be providing the damage here. Now the only issue with that flaw is potentially if Dark Lady doesn't get the damage. So if the Hellborn team can shut down Probusk like they did in Game 1 or Game 2, then this Legion draft could actually fall apart quite quickly because outside of her, you can just look up and down the lineup. They don't have much in terms of overall damage, and that could definitely be an issue. The Hellborn team have no such problems. Silhouette being played by Imbapigu right here, and that's going to lead into Solstice, Magmus, Glacius, and Bubble, so they've definitely got some damage on the Hellborn team, both of the physical and magical variety. The magical a little bit stronger here, especially in the early going, and the AoE is all over the place as well. So the Hellborn, this is going to be a large manner of finding a large number of heroes in a close confined area to loose a bunch of AoE ults on top of them, because if they can do that, they will clean up in these team fights. Now, the only issue with that potentially is the Newer's Blessing is very helpful when it comes to AoE damage, because it makes sure you're getting a large heal on everybody as opposed to, say, burst damage onto a single target, where it can be a little bit less helpful thanks to the fact that you're using a global ultimate that hits your entire team to only heal a couple hundred damage onto one of those players. And that's not the most efficient use of it by any means. But I don't think that the Hellborn team are particularly concerned about that, because you just look at the damage output here, and it's kind of insane. I mean, it's a lot of carries, it's a lot of AoE stuff, it's a lot of big fat ultimates, and I guess the only thing you might be concerned about then is, do they have enough farm to go around? Silhouette can be soaking up a lot of farm right here. Is Cthulhuphant actually in the top lane going to get jumped by the continuous stuns? We'll see if they have enough lockdown to actually finally get this kill. Haste Rune is available on the Elephant, on the Solstice, and yeah, this looks like it'll be a kill. Most definitely. Time to Die gets finished off right here. He even popped a health potion to try to survive, and that was definitely the wrong call, as he won't get access to it when he goes back up. Minimaggots claim that Pharaoh is awful, it essentially does nothing. I disagree with that fairly significantly. Pharaoh certainly hasn't had the most success in Season 3 right now. I'm actually a pretty decent fan of Pharaoh. I think the hero does a lot, and he's also one of the very few heroes that can really have a significant impact without getting farm. I honestly think the reason that we don't see a lot of really good Pharaoh games is because he's a difficult hero to use well. The mummy walls are not always predictable. Finding angles for the ultimate isn't as easy as it seems, even though it's pretty much an at bottom lane. It's going to be Cookies dying, sorry, so saw that, but I was a little bit late to actually catch the kill. So let's go back and look at it. Skeleton King is there. The Dark Blades are also going to prevent him from doing anything, is really what was he going to do anyway. He had the Shell Surf back, but wouldn't have the distance anyway to get away, so Cookies going to get picked off in this bottom lane once again. Anyway, return to the Pharaoh for a second. We'll see how Labyrinth does, but he's got 300 plus GPM. My issues with Pharaoh are primarily, I think, that people build him wrong. We see a lot of barbed armor, and I think in this game, actually, that might be a really good choice because they have a lot of AoE damage. So, for example, Pharaoh with barbed armor on can just sit in the middle of a Glacius ultimate and kill him, which is great. But Pharaoh with farm can be dangerous, especially if you get a puzzle box on him. I think puzzle box is a great item. We don't see nearly enough of it on heroes that aren't Parasite. Top lane Cthulhu going to get caught out once again here. Get the trample forward. Question is, will they have enough damage? Looks like they will. Glacius auto attack will finish off Time to Die. So he's taking 2 deaths in this top lane, and not something we're used to seeing from Suicide Cthulhu. Sub 100 GPM, and really a surprising amount of feeding here, considering how difficult that hero is to kill. And yeah, FDS definitely on the right track right there. Best non-PK initiator. And yeah, I mean that's really where his value comes in. If you're afraid that you're gonna have a situation where, you know, look, I just need initiation. So if your thought process is, if I can get a good initiation off, I can win a lot of fights, I can win a lot of ganks, and I can win the game. I think Pharaoh's a very good pick because it's difficult to prevent Pharaoh from starting fights if he wants to start a fight. Like, he's gonna do it. You can't do... Oh, crap. Time to die in the top lane. Wow. Alright, let's go back and watch that whole thing. Trample forward. Oh, those creeps just doing so much damage, and the Mock in the face. Crushing Imapingu. So I'm missing kills left and right here, as we're trying to talk about Pharaoh a little bit. But, oh well. Cookies in the bottom lane. Perhaps could be some trouble. No, we're gonna get the Shell Surf on out. He's level 3, by the way. So, once again, having some issues on the Suicide Bubbles. In all 3 games, he's played Suicide Bubbles. None of the 3 games has he been particularly impressive. But continues to do so, I guess, the Legion team, or Hellborn team figuring that's his best role. Actually, Rhapsody could be falling right here. Dance Floor is doing a lot, but they're going to kill each other. As Probusk ends up getting the kill? How did Probusk get that kill? Did he get the Taint Soul off? Must have. Interesting. So actually, Rhapsody gets the experience for that, and the Bubbles does not. If he had gone a little bit further, he wouldn't have been on the dance floor and might have survived. Or might, at the very least, might have gotten an experience out. But yeah, so I mean, I would definitely say I don't agree with Minimaggot when I say Pharaoh's a useless hero. I think he's just harder to use than people realize, and he does have difficulties in lane. He can be difficult to use either in the mid or the suicide lane. It can be relatively easy to box him out because he doesn't have the same type of escape mechanism as many suicide heroes do, and he's not really all that tanky, especially in the early going. But if you get a good Suicide Pharaoh player who either knows how to play him, essentially knows when you max out the Hellfire, when you max out the Rocket, then Pharaoh can have a pretty big impact even from the Suicide lane as well as, of course, the mid lane. And putting farm on a hero that doesn't need farm usually results in pretty good things. So, my opinion, I do like Pharaoh. I think it's a good hero. I think it's definitely a competitively viable hero, and I think a lot of teams agree with that assessment because we do see him at least every so often. And it's definitely not a hero that is completely absent from the competitive scene, folks. And he can have a lot of utility when he's used properly. That's just the difficulty. But enough about Pharaoh. Let's talk about some other stuff in this game. Right now, Dawn opening up a pretty decent golden experience lead, and they're not shooting on Probusk. So we've seen how this route goes before, when Probusk is allowed to do whatever he wants in these games, and he's actually over 450 gold per minute right now. And he's 2-0-0, so this is real bad, and RmR should be well aware of what happens when your Suicide gets boxed out and then you leave the lane alone completely and let people free farm in this bottom lane, because last game, Imapingu took advantage of it to do whatever he wanted. Meanwhile, top lane, speaking of Imapingu, he will actually get the tree grapple away, and a situation where actually Pharaoh not particularly great against a hero like Silhouette, because she can just tree grapple right on out of that. Even though she doesn't have an ultimate, and it doesn't really matter, because the escape mechanism is still too powerful. Bubbles will finally return to this bottom lane, but he really can't do too much to stop this Dark Lady. We will finish off a sustainer here, and we're probably looking at something like a 12 to 14 minute rune cleaver here. Middle lane charge on the Solstice ultimate right on the face of Pharah, but he's still pretty damn tanky. Nu's Blessing is there. We'll get the Mummy Walls off onto 2. Here comes the Eruption, going to be stopped by the Hellfire. Finally went through. Actually took a while for that to be cancelled. It's 2 ultimates for the Hellborn team that are used. They get nothing. The Lava Surge forward also insufficient to finish off that kill on the Labyrinth, so... I mean, you can see right there, he's a reasonably tanky hero right now, thanks to the Steam Boots and Bottle, because he's got some farm. And only 300 GPM, it's not like he's taking off in that regard. But easily stops the Magnus ultimate. It's a bit of an iffy ultimate in the first place, but it's a nice survival on that gank. And bottom lane, Bubble's just trying to get some experience down here. Really realizes he can't do too much to screw with this Probusk Dark Lady. If he wants to get farm, he's going to get farm, and if he tries to show himself and get some CS, he's probably going to die, so just chooses to backline out. Middle lane, sorry, those illusions from Magnus, I thought it was something legitimate. Anyway, there's the Wrath of Pharaoh in, so Magnus actually could be in some trouble here. Gets the Steam Bath out and a little Lava Surge away, so now that Pharaoh has access to his ultimate, probably should be waiting to use that. As top lane, it's going to be the jump of Cthulhu, but he gets away with the trample. Will they have enough damage here to finish him off? Yes, they will. Imba Pingu just destroys him right there. That was a lot of right-click all of a sudden. The Ghost Marchers and Soulscream Ring putting up nearly 100 damage. And level 3 Relentless Salvo and level 3 Death Lotus combining to do a crap ton. Bubbles in the bottom lane will fall once again, so let's go back 5 seconds to check that out. If we might, Staccatos go into the Dark Blades, yep, and he just can't do anything about it. And, so, I mean, we saw last time, you know, banning the bottom lane entirely didn't really go so well for Dawn, so maybe RmR thinking they can't do that. But at this point, if your options are, I'm going to feed kills or I'm going to abandon the bottom lane, then you shouldn't be doing the feed kills route. So, it might be a little bit hypocritical considering I said you shouldn't abandon the bottom, but the leeching experience is fine. He was a little bit too close. Can't get caught by those Rapsy Staccatos. But he did. So Cookie's continuing to have some trouble, and to be honest, I haven't been particularly impressed by his suicide play so far this series. Feels like it's been lacking quite a bit, and they keep putting on this Bubbles where he hasn't had too much of an impact, so I don't know if they feel like he can't play other heroes, or this is his best hero, or what, but in my estimation, it hasn't been particularly successful. And we'll see if he can recover a little bit here, but he's definitely going to have to, considering he's 1-3-0 and just barely on that 100 GPM mark. Time to die in the top lane, also 1-3-0, but much closer to 200 gold per minute. And maybe similarly problematic as Cookies, considering the Cthulhu is usually a much better suicide hero than Bubbles. And speaking of Cthulhu, he's definitely going to be in some trouble here. Going to get hit by the Lava Surge, and the stuns are everywhere. The Newer's Busting going to help him survive for a little bit longer, but it's not even close to enough to keep him alive. And Obliterate, wasted, more or less. Wrath of Pharaoh actually hits a creep. So, honestly, I don't know if that would have been a good thing if it had connected, so maybe it was good that it missed. The only one that Labyrinth really had a shot at killing right there was the Silhouette, and she had a tree grapple, so probably wasn't likely going to fall there anyway. And both short lane carries doing well, but you can certainly see the difference. Probusk is at 515 GPM, and I believe has finished off the cleave. Yep. So screw 12 to 14 minute cleaver. We're going to have an 11-minute cleaver on this Dark Lady, and it's immediately going to be a serious problem. You can see her just destroy Creep Wave because she can, or Creep Camp because she can. We're looking to have pretty good amounts of stacks here. Triple stacked hard camp off to the far left. Iceland Gogo on the Ophelia means that obviously can't stack every camp, but there are a sufficient amount that Probus can clean these up. And we'll have a 3-creep Ophelia army here. Iceland Gogo at 215 GPM, 0, and 1, so typical issues with Ophelia in the jungle, as we really have not seen her farm all that well with the new jungle. It's just continuously been a problem for her. Top lane, this tower is definitely going to fall. Question is, will they pick off the kill or deny? They will get the kill quite easily. Legion's trying to counter push a little bit with the Pharaoh Rocket, but can't do so. It's quite late anyway. It is the real Silhouette. Going to go up against the Cthulhu, but just ports out to her illusion and she will be just fine, so Pingu no real interest in continuing that fight, realizing she can't kill the Cthulhu and just wants to retreat to her own woods, much like Probusk has. But Probusk already at 570 gold per minute. My expectation is that we'll be seeing 650, maybe even higher than that, within the next 3 minutes, quite easily. And this is going to start to become a problem for the Legion side, because I actually wouldn't be surprised if they went... Okay, so she's going to go for Abyssal Skull here as her second item, and that's fine. It's going to help her farm a lot faster. As Magma's sort of getting caught out here, but not really. And so my expectation and my hope is certainly that it's Abyssal Skull into the Shrunken Head as you look at the Hellborn team and their amount of magic damage, and CC is pretty substantial, so she's going to need a Shrunken Head if she wants to stay up in these fights and auto-attacking. And my guess is she realizes that, because Probusk is not by any means an oblivious player. Definitely one that will adjust his item builds and item progression on various heroes depending on the game he's in. And I really have had very little, reason to question him when casting his game. So I have faith in you, Probusk, that you will make the correct decision. Legion side looks like they want to push a tower here in the middle lane. They do have level 7 Ophelia. Rhapsody is kind of hanging around in the background as well. Has a dance floor, currently level 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if Legion are looking for a little bit more map control here as they want to remove that tier 1 tower in the middle lane. By the way, Hellborn, looks like there will be an Insanitarius on the Solstice. And throwing up the Banhammer in Twitch chat because people are spamming stuff. And there you go. That's good. Just know that. You want to spam stuff? You want to throw links up? That's fine. I don't have a ban on links. You guys can throw links. If you want to go like, hey, go to this thing and buy this thing or do this thing or play this thing, then, I'm going to ban you. Sorry. Yeah, sure, Labyrinth hasn't had the greatest game, so I'm not sure if I'd say he's choking. That might be a little bit excessive, but yeah, he's certainly missed some Pharaoh rockets, and considering he's 0-0 and 0 at 14 minutes on a hero like Pharaoh, or Pharaoh Wrath, he's missed some Pharaoh ultimates, not rockets so much. He's missed rockets too, but that's easier to miss. 0-0 on Pharaoh is not where you want to be. I will concede that point. It's definitely true. You want to have at least some kill involvement here. Pharaoh, a very good early initiator, early fighter, and early ganker, as he has range initiation like few other heroes do before they get their portal keys, and obviously nobody's got a portal key at 10 minutes for the most part. And so that's 0 hero kill involvement score is definitely a bit of a problem. Insanitarius should be finished up on Solstice right here, and there it is. So he right-clicks it, gets the last component, will be delivered to him in a moment. Nullstone completed on the Silhouette as she's pushing 400 GPM, but still not able to compete with this Dark Lady. And that will help, of course. Nullstone, an item that assists the farming of Silhouette, as well as her ability to gank and not get killed. So, more or less as core as an item is going to get on a hero. You always, always, always buy Nullstone on Silhouette. Speaking of Silhouette, top lane, they've got her, as well as the Solstice, looking for a jump on this Cthulhuphant. As they're going to start out with the Solstice stun into the bubbles, and that's going to be sufficient damage on Cthulhuphant, it looks like, as he pops the Dream of Madness, but it's not enough before he eventually falls. So patience right there, paying off. Pingu helping out with the kill. Cookie's the one that eventually picks up on that bubbles as he's managed to approach that 200 GPM mark. Time to die still exceeding him in farm, but not by much anymore, and only a couple of levels ahead as well. So Cookie's finding some space to recover right here. Could still be a valuable member of this team, no doubt. Has picked up Steam Boots along with 4 Miter Totems and a port. Top lane, Dark Lady gonna get the Dark Blades and the Charging Strikes off, but not before Pingu can port to his illusion. And Labyrinth trying to chase down Bubbles a little bit, but there's a regen that gets picked up by Magnus, who also has a haste, and all of a sudden Pharaoh is going to be collapsed on by 4 heroes. Definitely going to fall here. Norse Blessing is going to keep him alive for a little bit longer. They might look to turn this, but it's not going to be there, as Pingu is from the background anyway. So 5 Hellborn heroes are there in the top of the Legion side's base, or Legion side of the river. Triple stacked Ancients will be scouted here by Glacius, and that means that the Legion team needs to kill those quickly before Silhouette and Co. steal them. And in fact, that might be the objective right now of Solstice, but this could be a little bit iffy. Bottom lane, Cookies actually manages to pick off Ice and Gogo on that Ophelia. That was really a horrible noise, but it's going to be assisted by Hussein on the Solstice, or on the Magnus, sorry. Anyway, it's going to be Cthulhuphant finding Solstice as TDL manages to finish off the Ancients right here. Dream of Madness goes through as well. Glacius actually gets a couple of freezes right, or a creep with the Thunder Blast, and they will kill Dark Lady. So nice freeze, nice Glacial Downpour from Glacius, doing a lot of damage. Silhouette does get the kill. Solstice is still going to fall thanks to Cthulhuphant Trample. Dream of Madness is active on Silhouette, but she has nobody else to attack. just the elephant, so she still will put in a couple more autos. Not nearly enough damage, obviously, to take him down, because that Cthulhu is just way too tanky. Currently see him sitting at Naked Boots and a Ringmail and Mystic Vestments, so trying to increase that armor, figuring he has enough life, as he certainly does, and wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a Plated Greaves right here. The other option for that item is the Ophelia. They probably want it on one here, but at the very least, considering, once again, the considerable amount of physical damage will be coming out from the Hellborn team as this game goes on. Silhouette and Solstice, both big sources of that. But in the meantime, reducing magic, of course, is better, because their early game is much more focused on that magical damage. Silhouette trying to get some damage onto Cthulhu once again, but can't really find it. The Dream of Madness is just way too annoying. And she will finish off the creep wave and pour it out to her illusion, so... Pingu continuing to find very nice farms. Actually, Probosk's farm has decreased thanks to that kill that they found in the middle lane. Glacius freeze on Pharaoh in the middle, but they won't be able to find a kill, and this is my guess. Magnus does have a portal key. Has it up for 1 second, actually, and they're gonna go back in on it, but actually Magnus stuns out, so... Yeah, Labyrinth, difficult hero to kill. He has 1200 health right now. And 2600 gold saved up, actually, so that's interesting. I wonder where he's going with that money. Barbed armor, as I said, probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he went for a barbed armor. I think I said that item twice, once at the beginning of that sentence and once at the end. Oh! So it's going to be a puzzle box. As I said earlier, I love puzzle box in general, and I like puzzle box a lot on Pharaoh, and not enough people buy puzzle box on Pharaoh, so the one game where I feel like a barbed armor might have been the better pickup, is the game where they go for the puzzle box. Immediately used, and immediately a ward is dead. That's good. I'm also going to find a Word of Rev right here. No, apparently they didn't. Not really sure what the puzzle box is doing here. Annoying the Ancients a little bit. Oh well, that Word of Rev will be spotted by the Legion's Word of Rev. So, Rhapsody, some nice counter warding. Yeah, that's actually a good mention of Bubbles here. He did recover a little bit, not that well. He has 225 GPM, so he's still below time to die in terms of suicide versus suicide stats, but he's doing a lot better than he did before. Darkblade's not going to be enough as the Taint Soul goes to run Magnus, but a lot of TP support is here. Wrathfur does connect on Magnus, no Lava Surge available. That should be a kill, but the Glacial Downpour doing a ton to Pharaoh. They finally finish off Q-Zane. Bubbles in the background getting a kill through a couple. The stun is taken by the Darkblade, the two-man trample, and that's the Forgotten One going to fall right here on that Glacius, as well as Pingo. The Solstice ultimate charged up, not going to hit anybody though, as Bubbles also dies. So the Legion side taking a really fantastic team fight right there, taking a 4 for nothing. That is a Pingu illusion, not the real one. So if he buys back, he can come back into this fight, but my guess is he won't, mostly because he doesn't have it. And yeah, that's the case. Darkblade jumping forward with that Rune Cleaver, continuing to get aggressive here. So we're just past 20 minutes, and she's over 600 GPM, which is once again the difficult to recover mark. And we're going to see 2 towers killed in the middle lane right here.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
So the Hellborn were looking good, actually. Their farm was good. Magnus had a good farm. Solstice had a good farm. Cookies was starting to come back a little bit. Pingu was catching up to Probusk, and they basically took the worst possible fight they could have. Missed a whole bunch of spells, and their Initiator and Magnus got caught out of position. They really need that eruption if they want to take stuff. Glacius, no! Really poor timing on Probusk. That's painful. That's worthy of a top 10 funny right there, I would say. He had the auto attack in animation that would have killed the Glacius, and instead gets ported back by the Ophelia, so just slightly poor timing. Magnus getting jumped on by Cthulhu, but he also gets ported back by the Elephant. And all of a sudden, Dawn looking like they're in a much better position than they were even a couple of minutes ago. Probusk's farm has exploded. He was at the 550 mark maybe 2 minutes ago, and all of a sudden he's at 100 GPM, which when you're 20 minutes into a game, it's not an easy thing to do.
The Legion
when you're 20 minutes into a game and you're already at 550 GPM, it's really not an easy thing to do. Speaking of Probusk in the top lane, we'll be able to find Solstice here, but there's a lot of support from the Legion side. The stun from Magnus will catch him. The Illuminate's there as well, and they're going to catch him out and get the kill. So getting a little bit too aggressive right there. It does finish off the tower, but pays for it with his life. As I guess he thought he could kill Solstice, but clearly cannot right there. The Insanitary is doing some work for Boz, as he's at 336 GPM. Q-Zane matching that mark pretty much exactly, actually. That's impressive. They have the exact same GPM, and it's continuing to move at the exact same time, so wow. They must have, like, literally the exact same amount of gold. Anyway. So time to die actually has recovered 2. And you want to talk about recovery, Cookies has gone from, you know, that 100 GPM to 220. Time to die has gone from that 180 to now nearly 300. And he's going to be really, really annoying these team fights. Has finished off Plated Greaves as well as a Portal Key. So I much prefer that. Thank you, people. I'm okay with the Cthulhu and Astrolabe, but then we see Cthulhu and Astrolabe into stuff like Barrier Idol, people just skipping the Portal Key until, you know, the 30 to 40 minute mark. Cthulhu kind of needs a Portal Key if he really wants to be effective. I mean, Trample, you can hit it without a PK, but you really want a PK. Like, PK is a good item on Cthulhu. There aren't too many heroes where you're like, well, PK is a good item on this hero, but I'm not going to get it. You know, PK is a good item on Bubbles, and you get it every game. PK is a good item on Magnus, and you get it every game. You know, it's not a situation where you're thinking, I'm going to forego the Portal Key because it's not necessarily convenient at this time. No, you need a Portal Key on Cthulhu. So thank you, Time to Die, for agreeing with that and picking up a relatively early PK as opposed to one that takes forever. Pharaoh will be able to pour it out right there despite getting spotted by the Illuminate. Is that what it still is? Luminescence. It's Luminescence at night, apparently. And speaking of Solstice, we'll start to farm out the Legion Woods here. Ophelia finding some farm in here as well. Iceland Gogo, nearly 300 gold per minute. So we talked about his slightly mediocre start right here and how Ophelia tends to have some issues in the early going. But definitely at this point, having a nice time. Rocket will spot out Solstice, but apparently they don't want to follow up on that. And leaves the side, or the Hellboard side, excuse me, do have a word of sight right there. They will be able to catch Bubbles. Question is, will they have enough? Yeah, the stuns are all over the place, and Cookie's going to end up falling there as he got his take cover off, but without a shell serve to go to. And a level 1 take cover, there's really nothing you're going to be able to get out of that. So ultimately it will be a pick-off in Legion Woods as the Hellborn team get a little bit too aggressive. Magnus will PK on out. Meantime, the forgotten one down here is currently Sin Teleport. And by the way, Sin means without in Spanish, so that was where that coming from. So he's kind of having to hang out here. They will get the Eruption and the Freeze down. Glacial Downpour is there as well. Cthulhu taking a lot of damage, gets the Trample off though, and the Newer's Blessing will help him clean up. Legion team has a lot of support for him right here. Magnus gets the 2-man Lava Surge, still wants this Cthulhu kill. Perhaps the ultimate really unnecessary, and it will help result in a Magnus pick-off here. Iceland go on the Ophelia getting that kill. So Q Zane really pushing his luck, and I mean this is something that you'll see a lot in mid to lower tier games. Usually not in this sort of in this sort of game where, you know, people are so focused on getting a kill they don't realize if you take longer than 5 seconds to get a kill, you're gonna get responded on. You cannot continuously fight somebody like that and expect the other team just not to react to it whatsoever. It's not a thing that will happen. So. Yes, Bubbles did get picked up in the middle lane, by the way. So, about that recovery. Damn me out so much. And it looks like Congra will be the focus right here. Pharaoh, obviously a great Congra killer, and TDL doing a ton of damage to him as well. So we're looking for a token right now on the Dark Lady. She just sold something or dropped something. Bolstering armor. Right? And it'll actually be picked up by Rhapsody right here, I think. As, yeah, can't be used by Rhapsody, but that's going to be part of TDL's Frostburn. Presumably Dawnbreaker. Nice Wrath of the Pharaoh. Going to catch Solstice and stop his teleport. We'll see if they can actually get a kill out of this. Puzzlebox Wizard and Minion are going to burn all of Solstice's mana. So he's actually going to have some issues right here as Pharaoh has a Haste Rune active, and that'll be a kill for Labyrinth. So barely surviving against that Solstice, but manages to take him out pretty much 1v1. As Pharaoh has slightly better farm than Boz. They probably went into that with pretty similar farm because coming out of it, Labyrinth just slightly ahead. And there you go. And talk about Pharaoh not being a useful hero. Stops teleport, gets killed by himself. Had the backup coming in anyway, so Solstice was definitely going to die. The question was, would Labyrinth be able to finish him off solo? By the way, top tower was pushed in by Impapingu, so that's another bit of resources and map control taken by the Hellborn team, but as far as map control goes, that top tier 2 tower for Legion just really isn't that valuable, so not as big in that sense, more about the fact that you took a tier 2 tower down. Anyway, Glacial Freeze is there, but Shrunken Head popped from the Dark Lady, and then all of a sudden it's Glacius. It's going to get 3-shot, yay for that. Shrunken Head will be wearing off here in a couple of seconds. I believe that was the level 1 Shrunken, yeah. So it lasts a while, but here's the stuns all of a sudden, and she's going to lose a token right there. Mummy Walls will bring her right back up inside of a couple of Tablet out, though. Not going to be able to save Magnus as he dies inside of the Mummy Walls. And Silhouette trying to get out of this. She does not have an illusion available. It's actually on cooldown. She's going to try to TP away. And actually, she should get out of this. They don't have the vision for it. And that will be her survival and salvation. Meanwhile, last outer tower getting cleaned up here by Dawn. So that'll complete their collection of tier 2s. And they're going to turn this into a Tier 3. Token was obviously used on Dark Lady already, and she does not have a Shrunken Head back up for 30 seconds. Meanwhile, Eruption is available from Magnus, but he's dead, so that's a bit of a problem. He does have a buyback, so if they want to fight this, they're going to need to use that, and I'm kind of surprised they hadn't used it already. They finally do. Ultimate from Solstice getting charged up. Does hit on a couple of heroes, actually. Dark Lady going to take Lex Talionis, but finally going to get out of there. Ultimate from Magnus doing a ton of damage to the background, but still nobody dying. Probo's going to turn this onto that Magnus, and he will fall once again. Imba Pingu looking for the Sonic. She gets it onto 2. Probo's going to get away with charging strikes, though, and all of a sudden Pingu in a lot of trouble. He's going to die. Mummy really not doing much except for trapping his own team, as Solstice tries to get out of there, and I don't think they'll be able to catch him. Rhapsody Staccatos are on cookies, and he's going to get caught in a bad position. No mana, and actually Probo's finishes him off with a taint roll because, hey, why not? So the Legion side taking another good engagement here. They get another 3 pickoffs in exchange for nobody. And Shrunken Head back up on Probusk, so it looks like he'll be coming back in, looking to continue this fight. The only hero with buyback right now is the Glacius, who actually could be in some trouble. Losing a lot of health right there if there's another charging strikes from Dark Lady, which there are in 1 second. Darkblade's active in another one, and Glacius probably going to die right here if he pokes his light health. Yeah, there you go. And it gets hit by the trample and gets jumped, so Forgotten One. That probably should have seen that coming. Apparently did not. And Rift Shards are actually been a nice pickup for Dark Lady, so I'm really approving of this Probusk item build right here. Frostburn I'm sort of indifferent about, but obviously the Shrunken Head, a huge pickup against this Hellborn team. And the Barrier Idol actually will do a lot of stuff for Ophelia as well. You saw that Magnus Eruption in the top lane, or the top fight. Nobody died, despite everybody getting hit by the Kelp Field, everybody getting hit by a Magnus Eruption that was right in all of their faces. Labyrinth gonna fall in the middle lane, didn't see that, so let's go catch it. Just really low, and gets picked off by a couple of heroes, the portal keys, so nothing hugely surprising there, by the way. I believe that is a Puzzle Box 3 on him. Yeah, it is, so that's going to be continuously difficult for the Hellborn team to deal with. But that Barrier Idol from Ophelia did a lot to win that fight, to just straight up win it. Because it's hard to tell, but if you pop that, that's 1,000 magic damage. Right. There's 400 magic damage. Sorry. Let's say, like, 1,000 seems like a lot. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, it's 400 magic damage times 5 heroes. It's 2,000 magic damage, which is a ton. It's basically an entire ultimate from Magnus and Bubbles. As speaking of Ophelia, she does get caught in the bottom lane, so unfortunate, but what can you do? That's what you get ganked by that's what happens when you get ganked by a Silhouette and you have a Barrier Idol. Because Silhouette doesn't give any shits about your magical resistance. Anyway, Silhouette will get caught right here. Illusion is still active, so they're going to have to kill her before she can port to it, and that's not going to happen. So she gets away, no problem. Glacius Freeze is on Probusk, and that's going to result in the entire Hellborn team getting away. It looks like the Forgotten One will be able to TP out there, no problem. And the aggression from the Legion team is insufficient. Is that the real Silhouette? Yeah! Not sure what Pingu's plan was coming back into that, but the Legion team were definitely aware that that was the legitimate Silhouette. And it's going to be a pretty easy pick onto Imba Pingu, who is now sub 500 GPM, so we're looking at 735 for Probusk right here. And that's, you want to talk about insurmountable leads? 600 GPM is an insurmountable lead. I mean, it literally is. Like I said before, in Season 3 we've had, it's a 70-1 record. 600 plus GPM heroes are 70-1. 70-1. The one loss is a 601 gold game, so, you know, barely 600 GPM. By Haxorin against a player with 653 GPM. So based on those GPMs, somebody with the 600 gold per minute was coming out with a loss. It was either the 601 or the 653. So essentially, the only time a 600 GPM hero has ever lost is actually they're going to jump on with the Eruption as well as the Solstice Ultimate. It is going to hit onto 2, but the Shrunken Head is up from DDL and they can't do anything. And this is why I was talking about. I mean, that Shrunken Head just such a huge key pickup. They'll be able to pick off cookies as well. It's a hat trick, and that's going to be a genocide as well. And yeah, we're looking at GG's being called right here. And it looks like Dawn might be coming through with a victory here. Yep, there's the official CC. And Dawn will be going to Diamond Division for Cycle 7 as the #1 seed. Congrats to them, taking the entire thing. And they did not lose a single series. And they looked quite good in that one as well. A little bit of a hiccup in Game 2, but Game 1 and Game 3, both pretty damn dominant. So, very well played to them. Good series for RmR as well. I think they showed enough to definitely consider themselves competitive in Diamond Division. And of course, that's what they'll be going to. They're going to have a bit of a tougher road right off the bat, as they'll be facing Sync Esports in the round of 8. But, hey, sometimes you make a really crappy draw, and that's pretty much what happened here. So, sad times for them. But I think that was honestly A little bit of an outdraft. I think the Legion side's draft was better. It wasn't as greedy as the Hellborn's draft. You look at the Silhouette, the Solstice, and the Magmas, all heroes that need a significant amount of farm. And Solstice got decent farm, Magmas got decent farm. Bubbles really had very little impact in that game with 175 GPM. And even if he had more, he wasn't going to have much more because of the presence of those other 3 cores. And Solstice and Magmas just not able to have the type of farm that they needed. Pingu did get a significant amount of gold, but wasn't enough to deal with a Probusk that neared 800 gold per minute. You look at that, 792 GPM. That actually might be a gold division record. I don't know if I've seen anybody that has had that much gold per minute in any individual game, even them 15-minute concedes. That's a really hard mark to hit right there, so congrats to Probusk for a ridiculous game, 12, 2, and 7, and really embodying the word carry right there. So, as I mentioned, I think earlier in this series, Dawn dropped to gold because teams realized, we just got to shut down Probusk. The rest of the team is good, but we have to address him. And I think in Game 2 they definitely did that. They had some advantages because he was playing a chipper as opposed to a super hard carry, but Game 1 and Game 3 they did not. They essentially let him free farm in that bottom lane and that short lane, and he destroyed them. So, I don't know what RmR think that they're seeing that nobody else is, but I would say based on the results, they're probably not actually seeing it. It might just be a mirage. And it's a lesson to those of you who are in Diamond Division for next cycle. You're going to have to watch out for that Probusk guy because he tends to be pretty good. But it was, in general, a very good game and a very good series for the entire team on Dawn. Obviously, 4+ GPM on both Labyrinth and Time to Die. Iceland Go-Go finishing at 312, even 237 for that Rhapsody. So very well played to them. Very well played to the guys on RmR. That will wrap it up and do it for this series. This game, this series, and this cycle. So Cycle 6 completely in the books. That's always nice. We've started to cast Cycle 7 a little bit because, it's already over. But that will continue in earnest now that I am done with Cycle 6. So thanks, guys, for watching both this game, this series, this cycle. And that'll do it. Congrats once again to Dawn as they move on to Cycle 7 with the #1 seed. Congrats as well to RmR as they move on to Diamond Division with the #2 seed. We'll look forward to see what these teams have to offer in subsequent cycles.